Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and yes, we continue on with the football, the real football. It's back, we won at the weekend, and it's time to return to Celtic Park. The first game there in over a month now. Are we excited to get back then? I am. It'll be cold, really cold. A Wednesday night against Livingston. It's not exactly the poetic return that I dreamed of, but I suppose it'll do. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Preview show. First time I've done one of these in a long time. It was the same as well when I done the review for the Aberdeen game at the weekend. It's like I've almost forgot how to actually structure these videos and how to go about it. But we'll get there. And as more games come rolling in thick and fast as they are, I'm sure we'll get back to the standard that we usually have here on the channel, which isn't very high. I must admit, but it's still something, and I suppose you guys watch anyway, so I appreciate y'all. Yeah, Livingston head to Celtic Park tomorrow night in a game where Celtic look to continue on that fantastic domestic form. We're 9 points clear at the top of the table, and hopefully there's no slips in the road now between here and not just that derby game, but to the end of the season. It'd be good to try and just win every single game, and that looks to be the game. We are focused, we are making signings, we're just constantly getting better under Ange Postecoglou. And one of the teams that we struggled against in the past, Livingston, is a team that now we've managed to crack a little bit, and we're going to look at David Martindale's comments a little later on in this video, and his kind of outlook on how Celtic have changed in preparation for these games. But it's a game that I don't fear as much heading into now. A game that Celtic, I mean, at Celtic Park especially, we shouldn't really be fearing Livingston as an opposition. No disrespect to them, it's a game that Celtic should be expected to win. But they've always been a bit of a bogey team in the past few years, and we know that Tony Macaroni hoodoo was always there. We've well and truly squashed that. We played really well. I mean, it was one of the last games we actually played before the break, and we played really, really well. So we've kind of cracked that code. We play a lot better now. But nonetheless, a difficult task for us tomorrow, because we've seen that game on Saturday. Aberdeen, they played a very low block. They defended incredibly well for the vast majority of the game, and we had to dig deep. We had to save it right till the end to find the 3 points. And Livingston are the kind of team that are no strangers to doing the same thing. You know, they will try and hurt us when they can, but they will certainly sit deep. They will provide a tough nut to crack. So at Christmas time, I'm sure the Nutcrackers will do a good job, but we've got a squad that are more than good enough to get the job done tomorrow night. One of the players that I thought we missed against Aberdeen at the weekend was Sead Haksabanovic. I really thought that he was coming on to a right good game before we went on the World Cup break, and then to lose him last sort of minute before the game on Saturday was, it hurt a little bit, and I think we've seen that through the course of the game. No, obviously no kind of problems with Jota or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that they're not good enough and that Sead's automatically a better player, but I think the way he brings into the game could have been really useful against that Aberdeen team at the weekend. The way he kind of gets close to defenders, the way he can kind of cut inside. Now, usually Jota is really good at that. Wasn't quite at the races at the weekend. And I think that just having that kind of style that Sead brings could have been really good for us. So I'm hoping that he can be involved tomorrow night. Ange did say in the press conference before the Aberdeen game that he was going to be back for this game. Will he start the game? We'll come on to that. But I feel like he could be a key player tomorrow in kind of unlocking a tough Livingston defence. I'd like us to score a lot of goals right enough. I'd like us to maybe win the game 3 or 4-0 if we can, but it's never quite as simple as that, as we all know. But yeah, I think one thing that we've got to talk about, and one thing that was key at the weekend, was of course the return of Callum McGregor. And I'm hoping that he continues on tomorrow with this kind of return to action, and we see him being involved as much as he was at the weekend. He was by far our best midfielder on the park. I thought O'Reilly and Hatate, they both had kind of quieter games, and I think McGregor kind of carried them through it at times. I'm hoping he doesn't have to do as much of that tomorrow night, but I think what he brought back to the team, it's evident that we missed that at times before the break. O'Reilly did do a great job at coming back and filling in that role that McGregor would normally play, and we had that obviously we were lucky to have that fluctuation between the likes of O'Reilly and Moy and Hatate and other central midfielders. We are lucky enough that we can change things up, but I think that it's evident that what McGregor brings to the team both on and off the ball is really important, and to have that back in these sort of games is what you need when you need to dig deep. we are good at finding it, even if McGregor's not there. But when you've got your leader there, when you've got your captain in the team, he makes it all that much easier, you know. And we've seen that when he got that last minute winner against Aberdeen at the weekend. He is vital to what we do. He's an important part of the process. And I'm hoping that he once again provides us with a top-notch performance tomorrow night. His first game at Celtic Park in God knows how long now. He'll be dying to get back out there in the pitch. So I think there's a couple of players, him and Haksabanovic, are both kind of returning to action at Celtic Park. I think that they could stand out and have big performances tomorrow, and I hope that's certainly the case. So David Martindale actually made some very interesting comments heading into this game in response to kind of how Celtic have changed their preparation and changed the way they play against Livingston. Because of course, as we said in this video, in years gone by, they've been a bit of a bogey team, they've been hard to beat. And even when Ange first came in, the first 2 games we played against Livingston, we didn't win. We drew at Celtic Park. Remember, we missed that penalty late on in the game, and we lost at the Tony Macaroni when we lost those opening few away games. So we had to change, we had to alter to that. And David Martindale has commented on it. So this is what the Livingston manager had to say. He said, I think you're going into these games and you're not a surprise anymore. The Celtic team, the Celtic manager are going into our game in a bit more detail. I think Ange has said that he doesn't take any game any different from another, but I have found Celtic players with a wee bit more intensity. They're giving us a little more respect, and by giving us a little more respect, it probably adds to their own game. They are putting in a lot more detail to the game. So I think that by these comments, what he's trying to say is maybe by giving Livingston a bit more respect and treating them as the threat that they are has probably made us play better heading into these games. It's made us be more aware. It's caused them to struggle a bit more, and we've solved a lot of the problems that we've faced in the past when we have played Livingston. So I think Martindale's pretty much spot on in what he said, because we have seen a change of approach, and I think that Ange treats this game as he would treat, you know, a game against, you know, Real Madrid in the Champions League, whereas in the past maybe we've slept on them a little bit more. So I think there is a hint of what the Livingston manager's saying being right there, and hopefully tomorrow night, of course, we go into the game being as aware as we have been, and we continue on a winning run against them. Talking about the opposition, here is their recent run of form in competitive games. They haven't actually played yet. This is their first game back from the World Cup break. So we've got that advantage where we played at the weekend. Livingston didn't. So I guess this is kind of their chance to be rusty, if you like. But before the break, they weren't that bad. And once again, overachieving under David Martindale. They've had a decent enough season. And, you know, that's a side who should be, on paper, fighting relegation every single year, but they're constantly punching above their weight, as we all know. So there's their recent form. And, of course, one of the losses in that run of form was to us. A draw against Rangers in there as well. They aren't pushovers. It will be a difficult game. And in terms of how they'll prepare going into this game, I think they've got their strongest side available. I'm trying to look at my notes just now, and I'm not seeing anything about big injuries. I think they're fine. So, yeah, Big Nubly, he's been a handful against some of the bigger sides this season. Against us, he showed that he can be a handful as well. So, yeah, I think it's a team we should be beating anyway. Team selection then. Who do I think should start for Celtic going into this game? Well, here's my predicted 11 on screen. And yes, you will see I've got Sead Haksabanovic in my starting lineup. Why? Well, I just feel like, you know, if we're giving him a half, give him the first half. I do imagine he'll probably go off at half time, maybe 60 minutes into the game or so, make way for Jota or Maida or whatever. But that's the team I'm going with. I've got Lier Abad over on the right hand side too. As you can see, I thought he was a big influence in the second half when he came on against Aberdeen, so I would like to see him play. And Georgios Giacomakis I've got up front as well. Kyogo started at the weekend. He wasn't quite there. He wasn't quite at it, so it gives Giacomakis the nod, I would say. And aside from that, pretty much an identical team as to what played against Aberdeen at the weekend. I don't see any changes to the back line or the midfield. I think there's potential for Moy maybe coming in, but I've just played it safe and predicted the McGregor, O'Reilly and Hatate trio in the middle of the park. But I would love to see Sead start this game tomorrow night. I think it would be a good stage for him to return back to and hopefully continue on the form he left off before the World Cup. The likes of Jota and Maida and Kyogo, they're not players who I necessarily go, yeah, should be dropped. That's not the reason they're not there. We are just in a lucky position where we rotate players, and this is the rotation I would like to see. So there's my team prediction. And as for score, I'm going to go for 2-0 Celtic. Yes, clean sheet, I hope again. That would be nice. And we get cracking on as we move towards this derby game. But a tough game nonetheless. But I'm so happy to be back at Celtic Park. Anyway, that'll do it for today. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Like and subscribe as well. And I'll see you all next time.